literally seconds before the deadline to renew. I was still deciding, and this was such a tough decision to make, and I am here to tell you guys all about it, give you an update and tell you the story. And I think it's best if we go outside with my emotional support tulips and away from the socks on the floor. Don't mind the sound of my neighbor sawing in the background. So I want to just give you a quick history lesson, and then we're going to get into some brass taxes. I graduated from nursing school 11 years ago, and I loved working in the fast-paced, heartbreaking emergency department where I had record highs and lows. There were stabbings, ear infections, overdoses, broken bones, scrapes, random infections, and I was able to help thousands. And I loved so much of it, but there were days where I drove home sobbing. And I loved working with the seniors that were there in the wound care department and with outpatients giving cancer treatments, antibiotics, treating life-threatening infections. I loved all of it. I loved putting in IVs. I just loved so much of it. And connecting with patients, making them more comfortable, like getting little kids to laugh. I had this like name tag where I'd put like, there were stickers and I'd be like, don't I look just like Princess Jasmine? And they'd be like, no. And it was fun. It was great, and it was nice to be able to support people when they were scared. But something has changed, and I suddenly felt called for something else. I started to see a different kind of emergency unfolding, and it has been quiet and invisible, but just as real. And it's that women like me were exhausted and overextended. We are juggling work and home and fighting our clutter and our stuff. And sometimes it was literally, there were times at my home, I'm not joking, where I was more stressed than a code blue. And if you've ever attended a code blue, then you know what I mean. Like just the slow stress that can build up in your home. And I'm gonna move closer up there. Somebody's here. Well, that delivery driver was really nice. All right, so here's the issue though, is a lot of us, this is like a huge thing going on right now, is we're trying to raise kids. We are trying to run businesses or work, manage houses, schedules, meals, and to still show up for everyone. And we're probably still feeling really resentful that no one else sees how much we are holding and just too tired to explain to do it. And I am not immune to these issues still. Last night I said to my teenagers as I went to bed, because if you have teenagers, you know that they stay up far later than you. And I said to my 17-year-old, okay, so you're going to finish loading the dishwasher and wipe up? And he was like, yes. And then my 15-year-old was like, I said, and you are going to be finishing putting out the food waste? And he was like, yes. And what did I get up to? Not that. So all of that to be said, I knew that there was more that I could do to help a broader group of people. And so I started to help. I made this channel to help people to declutter and to simplify life. And some people were doing that, but I could see that there were deeper problems. This epidemic sweeping the nations for women at home is that, yes, decluttering can help if you are doing the decluttering, but it's not enough. The bigger problem is that we are doing too much for too many people with too little support. And I am not in any way dogging on family. Yes, I did just complain about my kids, but I truly am not dogging on family. There's something else that has to change. And the issue is we're trying to hold it all together in systems that were never built for real life. Because women don't just need another drawer organizer. We need a way to rethink how we're living and working and showing up so our homes and businesses support us instead of draining us. And I realized I was getting so exhausted last summer. I talked to my doctor and I was like, I'm exhausted. And, you know, she checked my iron and all of these things. And she's like, yeah, like it's actually like looking better. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I could feel that stress more than anybody in my house. And not only was I juggling nursing with trying to help people with their decluttering, but I was dealing with my own struggles too. I would sit down to work on my business, but I would spend at least 45 minutes dealing with email clutter and digital disorganization. My downloads folder was like crazy. And I was like, how am I going to tackle this? And the fridge would be full sometimes, but there was just nothing for dinner, or only ingredients, as my kids would say, which is just so hilarious. Or there were times where there like truly was not groceries, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. And when was the last time that we changed our sheets? And maybe you can relate. Your bedroom that is supposed to be your haven, but it is piled high with laundry or returns, unopened Amazon boxes. I have returns sitting in my office for like the day before that it had to go back. And the problem is, we are well-meaning. We care so much and we're doing so much for so many people. And we're like, you know what? Next week is going to get better. But we don't change anything. And it's almost like when you're like, oh, I think I'm going to like eat healthier this week, or I'm going to like do a diet, but we fail yet again. So you just say, oh, well, I'll start again tomorrow. And I was so guilty of saying yes to every volunteer role. And I still like currently do a lot of volunteering, or I would be like yes to client projects or family obligations plus coaching clients, and trying to switch my brain between my nursing, my home, my business, and trying to fix it. I would try to copy someone else's perfect routine instead of building my own. Like, have you ever done that? Or I would just reorganize messes instead of removing what's not needed. And in my situation, it's a little less about the actual physical clutter because I already done that. But other things, like instead of coming up with the proper routines to tackle it all. And if you know, I am a big fan of systems and routines now. Or here's a huge one: downloading too many digital tools, free things, without a simple central system to tackle it all. And we are often made to feel so bad by social media. We see things on Instagram and we're like, oh, that looks so lovely. And we just like end up scrolling and scrolling and scrolling because it just feels like it might make us feel so much better. And we're told, just get up earlier and stay up later. And I'm like, okay, Susan, I could do that, but I would have to like literally make extra time manifest from nothing. It's literally not possible. Or I would think, okay, instead of that, I'm just going to time block everything, which is crazy when you have kids that need you, or you need to wait on inspiration, like as a creative person, or you simply are like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to declutter 10 things a day. I love time blocking in a lot of ways. Like, I have talked about my planner and I love my planner, but actually one of the things I've started doing is to plan less, and I'm actually getting more done now. So for myself, I said, enough. I just need a better way, and not just managing my home, but my whole life. So from work to business to dinner plans, from kids' activities to laundry piles to digital files, emotional overload. And the question that kept haunting me was, why does it still all feel so hard? I am so tired. I am talking to doctors about it. And I literally was like, what I really feel like I need is just to go off, to rent an Airbnb by myself and just be away. Does anybody else ever have that desire where you're like, I just want to go away? I just picture myself standing at the ocean wrapped in a blanket and just being like, I'm away, and I'm just like recovering my energy. And I think that, there's my cat, is the biggest thing. It's like, it's the energy. And it's not necessarily, like, it is the commitments, it's the mental thing. So after many moments of rage conversations with myself, do you know the type that I mean? The equal parts of pep talk / dramatic monologue where you're like, like, I literally do that. There may have been jazz hands. I'm not going to say there weren't. But anyway, so I stepped back and I zoomed out. I'm a person of action. I'm always like, what can we do to make things better? I actually don't do well sitting with anxiety for long. So I created a system that could hold all of it. My energy, my priorities, my season of the year and of life, and all of that. And you know, before I get into that, I want to tell you a quick story. When I started nursing school, my kids were 1, 3, and 5. There was a lot of homework, and I got like A's a lot of the time, unless there was a group project. I'm just gonna say there was a certain girl who dragged it down. But anyway, I would be stressed trying to do my homework, and I would have my kids playing around, and they'd be wanting something, and I'd be like, oh, what? And I just realized that I was like cranky trying to get homework done with them there, and I couldn't because I couldn't focus, and I was being a bad mom. And so I was like, okay, that's not the answer. I needed a different routine, a different system, a different schedule. Are you picking up on what I'm saying here? Yes, I talk about schedules a lot. So anyway, before I did the system, I knew it meant walking away from something that had defined me for over a decade, as I talk about nursing school. And I did not renew my license. I had thought about it for months. You know my friend Lindsay from Loving with Intention, the relationship coach. She's also a nurse. That's actually how we met. And she did renew. But I was so like literally down to the wire. And then I was like, no, like this is not the season anymore. I am here to support people, to simplify life, to create those routines to support them. And I'm going to tell you, it feels really weird. And so I'm now a former registered nurse, or a retired registered nurse, I guess. Because the thing is, I've been making videos on here for YouTube for over 6 years. And I realized that I can not only help thousands like I did before, but I can help millions. If I look at the analytics on my channel, I've had well over 1 million or 2, I don't even know, people who've seen the videos. So I chose to step into a different kind of healing work, which is to help women to simplify their lives and their businesses so they can finally breathe again, and to heal myself by realizing that I had to remove. So often we have to remove to make things better, and it seems counterintuitive. Often we're like, I need to pile things on. So the system I created myself that can help you, I call the Mighty Method. And you may have heard me talk about it, but it goes beyond just decluttering. And it's not about perfection. And it's not another productivity hack or color-coded chart. Although I will tell you, I do love a beautiful color-coded chart and labels and all of the beautifulness and the colored pens. But it's not that. It's about seeing the big picture, one step at a time, and making space for what matters most. And I will give you a quick overview just so you know, so you can take this forward for yourself. And there are 4 steps. Each one is designed to help you take a breath, to get clear, to make real progress in your home, your life, and your business. So the first step is triage. Just like in nursing, my emergency history, we start by assessing what is really going on. Where are things breaking down? Where are your time, your energy, and your focus leaking out? Girl, this is the thing that is so important. We need to take a step back to look. Whether in home, business, work, whatever. We don't guess, we pause, we observe so we can focus on what actually needs attention. Step 2 is simplify. Once we know what's not working, we can start letting go. And this could be clutter in your home, or too many commitments on your calendar, which was a big one for me. Like I said, I was switching my brain between so many different things. And finally I was like, can any of this go? And you know what? Once I removed some of it, including my nursing job, got better. Or digital chaos that is quietly draining you. And I think this is one that is hugely overlooked. But that digital chaos is just holding so many of us back. So we simplify with purpose so that you can think, breathe, and live better. The third step is to organize. Now we put things in place that actually make sense for you, not just baskets and labels, although yes, sometimes that too. Baskets are great if there's a defined thing going into them, not if we're just using them as clutter catchers. And then we create simple, logical systems that work for your habits, your brain, and your family. That's the Thrive section. Rhythms and routines. That's step 4. That keep things running, and not perfectly. This, like I said last night, my kids did not follow through on their routines. But I think my biggest issue was not saying like, get up and do it now, because, you know, if teenagers, right? But not perfectly, in a way that feels calm, doable, and aligned with the life you actually want. If you feel like you're always behind, like your house is never really done, your to-do list never ends, your business is, you know, not in focus, tell me below. I want to hear about it. You're not alone. You don't have to stay stuck in this cycle. Follow along here. I'm going to walk you through it all, not just with tips, but with a method that works. You're doing so much. Let's make it so much easier. I invite you please to subscribe. I'm going to let you know a special thing. If you make it to the end of this video, and most of my videos, I'm going to have a secret word, and I want you to write this word below, and that word is peaceful. because that's what I think a lot of us are looking for in life now. Peaceful. Peace. Either. Whatever. You're doing so much. Let's make life so much better. I think you might like this video here, and I appreciate you being so supportive during this journey. I think we're all doing life journeys, and it feels so good to update my wonderful friends here. I hope something great happens for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.